I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Where?
In my heart. Do you know this song?
I do.
Welcome back. Well, we've covered becoming best friends, building joy and friendship in your marriage, fueling with the power of the Holy Spirit. And now we're going to talk about little things, lots of little tiny things. Because, well, tiny things are important in your marriage. Pam, can you think of some little things that are important in your marriage?
Yes, I love the little things. The little things actually mean so much to me. Like, I love our morning hugs. I love all of the little times that you remember to bring coffee to me on special occasions, or it's just the moments that you'll surprise me with flowers, just the calls telling me that you've made it to your destination. All those little things make me feel really happy in our marriage.
That's good. It's good to know it's working.
Yes, it always works.
And it is about the little things in our marriage, because there are more little things that occur in the volume of our marriage. And what we want to instill in you, and that we'll cover in this session, is how do we take advantage of those little things and capitalize on them. It's a volume business in our marriage, and we want you to be thinking about that having a great and special day in your marriage should not be an exception. It doesn't require a special occasion, and it doesn't require a lot of money. It just requires intention and thought and the right heart and posture. And so we're going to talk through some of those things. And so when we talk about you're likely younger, getting married, finances may not be robust. And so how do we build these things? Because a lot of times the idea is, if you watch TV and The Bachelor and all these quote reality shows, I mean, to live the bachelor life, you need like millions of dollar budget. Like, oh, we're going to fly private to an island and rent out a whole villa and have an orchestra play while that's just not real. Right. And you don't need it. You really don't need it to have joy and to build upon these little things in your marriage. And for me, when I grew up very poor, as I've kind of talked about in some of the prior sessions, and one of my favorite books in the Bible when I was growing up was Ecclesiastes. And Ecclesiastes, written by King Solomon, most people think, a man who they consider to be the wealthiest person maybe in history. Who had everything. He had wealth, he had harems, he read and knowledge. He pursued every form of happiness and fulfillment in his life. And he said it was all a vapor. It was all meaningless in its own pursuit. And for me, being a poor guy who had none of those things, I thought, wow, it really helped me find peace in my circumstances, because I realized that I wasn't missing anything. There was nothing absent from my life that would truly bring me meaning and fulfillment. And it's the same in our marriage. There is nothing that the world will dangle in front of you that you can't have in your marriage by loving God and loving your spouse. It is not financial. It's not circumstantial. And it's not related to who you're friends with or who you know or what you've accomplished. The joy that's available to you in your marriage to have a thriving marriage, it's available to you with what you have right now. And so we want you to lean into that, because it's freeing. If you can accept that and get that into your heart, you're not going to be stuck on the striving treadmill of what this world throws at us. So we hope that brings you peace. So there will be days and seasons in your marriage when, the weather is not cooperating, and you can still find and build joy in your marriage. And, one of the things that's also common that we do, and I still do to this day, and I have to be very aware of and practice, and that is not being robbed of the present, of the moment, that I can spend time reflecting on the past and rehashing things that I could have done differently or better, or I wish I would have done, gone this way instead of that way. Or the other extreme is I'm, worrying about the future. And we talk about plans and all that. I mean, share maybe from your heart how you think that impacts you or women. I know a lot of times women can spend more time in sometimes worrying about what might happen.
Well, I mean, I think that women in general, and I'm speaking for myself, but a lot of women, we are nesters and we are planners, and we're dreaming about our marriages from like 5 years old a lot of times. Yeah. So planning and future preparations are just like part of our DNA a lot of times.
Yeah. And so those are great. There's nothing wrong with learning from the past, and there's nothing wrong for having hopes and plans for the future. But what we don't want to do is let it rob you of the present. And that can happen in our marriage, right? As you're young, and you're probably young, and you have great plans, and it's okay. but don't let it rob you of the joy. And so there's a reason it's called the present. And as long as we're not stuck on either side of it, then we can unwrap that present, and that can be a gift in our life and in our marriage. And here's one of the verses from Ecclesiastes that I love. It's tattoo worthy. I don't have any yet, but tattoo worthy. You can tattoo it to your brain. But it says in Ecclesiastes 9:9, enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the fleeting days of this life that God has given you under the sun, all your fleeting days. And it's what is beautiful about this verse is, one, it's commanding us to enjoy our wife, which is cool, right? That means we can lean into that and pursue that, knowing God's asked us to do that, and He will bless it if we pursue it. But the other part is acknowledging the fleeting days. We have moments and opportunities, and we can lose those moments and opportunities, those presents, the gift of the moment, when we are dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. So acknowledging that and living and enjoying and celebrating it with God's blessing and God's command is such a gift. So when, not if, unfortunately, you're lacking joy in moments in your marriage, we need to search for it, because those days will come. God calls us to enjoy our marriage, but we know days are fleeting, but we're going to have those days when it's just not there. And that doesn't mean we fake it either. It doesn't mean that if we're having a bad day and I say, Pam, how are you doing? And you're having a bad day, what do you say?
I say yes, unfortunately. But when I do say that I am having a bad day, it opens the communication for you to know that I'm not just being bratty that day, that I'm going through something. And so it's always the communication that helps, make the intimacy happen.
Yeah. And it helped me a lot when you've done that. It helps me feel connected to you, and it helps me not to start to think, well, what am I doing wrong? Because I could get in a paranoid state or something like, oh, I need to do something.
Like I did something bad.
Yeah, or I need to make you feel happy. And that's also not our responsibility as a spouse. And important to know, is not our job to make someone else happy. That's not your job or responsibility. We each have that ability and that choice to make. But I can love her and I can sit with her when she's not happy. Yeah. And she's probably going to be happier sitting with me unhappy than if I left her alone. And so this is normal in different seasons of your marriage for, joy to fizzle or wane a little bit, but don't worry, you can resurrect it. Let the Holy Spirit flow through you and keep the joy alive. So we just want to wrap up and encourage you to go to God, to never stop searching and building the joy in your marriage, and to know that, to be cognizant of the lies this world's thrown at you that's going to kind of compete with that and try and get you off track. So we have a great exercise for you to talk through the truths and the lies that we see in this world related to marriage, so you are aware of it and can use that and have a solid strategy going forward. And we look forward to seeing you next time.